Hi everybody, it's Janet here for Moonkusser Art. Welcome back to my channel, and I am getting ready for the holidays. Now is the time I want to start making my holiday coasters. That way I have lots of time to let them sit and cure. So let's get going. I am using molds that are from Crown Made. These are fantastic molds. They hold up really well. You can see, well, let's take one of these here and get you a close-up look. But there is a very heavy silicone edge there. Now that makes these wonderful. And the reason why is because with time, as your molds age, they start to sag and roll out. And I've had that happen with a couple of molds. So hopefully these, because they have a really nice, strong, thick edge, they're going to hold up well. They have a nice, shiny interior, so I'm going to get a nice, shiny finish on my coasters. And I will be embellishing them with these little wooden snowflakes that I found a few years back at Michael's. That's where I got them from. Here's the packaging, recollections from Michael's, and just cute little wooden things there. I'll be using Let's Resin, and this is their 1-to-1 ratio epoxy resin. It will mix really easily. This is on a thinner viscosity, so that means that the bubbles are going to come up and release easily out of the resin, so that's also nice in this application. And I've got a bunch of my color swatches. These are all some of my favorite colors from Black Diamond Pigments. These are mica powders. Love them. Check out this red. Is that not gorgeous? Let's get a little extra light on that baby. She's a beauty. Well, here. There you go. Now you can get a good look at it. It's just gorgeous. That one's blood red. Fantastic color. But for my coasters today, I'm going to use a color that I've used in the past. See if I can pick this up on the camera here. There it goes. This is called Sapphire Ghost Blue, and it's a really pretty pearl white, but it has these little details in here, and it gets that nice blue shimmer, so it makes me think of cold winters, and that's why we're going to be doing that. We're just going to do one color and pour them into the molds. I have my cup marked off already. I'll be batching up 10 ounces. It's equal by volume, so I made my marks using water. I measure 5 ounces of water here, 10 ounces of water to there, make my marks. All I have to do is pour my parts in to get them to the lines. I always start with pouring the hardener, part B, in first because it's a thinner viscosity. In my mind, hey, maybe I'm wrong, but in my mind, a thinner viscosity means when I scrape the sides of my cup and stirring, it's going to come off of the edges better. When I have the hardener in here, part A, the resin goes straight down the middle. It pushes the hardener up and makes for easy stirring. So there's a tip for you. So let's get started. I'm going to batch up my resin and tint it, and we'll begin pouring. I've used these molds a couple of times, and I've learned that I like to use 10 ounces of resin. I always put my hardener in the cup first, and then I add the epoxy resin to that. It just seems to mix better, in my opinion. Now I'll be adding a tablespoon of Black Diamond's Sapphire Ghost Blue. It's a really nice color. I like this pearl white, but it has some interesting blue touches. I'll be pouring the epoxy resin evenly, 2.5 ounces into each mold. Watch out for my creepy lamp. It loves to sneak into the frame. I let the molds with the resin sit for about 2 hours, and now I'm coming back in and I'm using my pop stick to swirl the pigments through to give it that detail that I want. Now I'm coming back after a total of 4 hours from when I first poured the resin into the mold. I'm peeling the backing off of these snowflakes. They're really made out of cardboard, not wood, but they have that printed wooden finish on there. I'm just setting them into the resin. 3 ounces I'm going to cover in clear because I want to raise the surface on the resin to get it to cover over those. So real simple and easy. We're just going to equally pour that out on top. All right, I just keep my cup in close to the mold, and that way I'm reducing the number of bubbles that I might be introducing into the resin. And I just make sure I get it nice and evenly across those surfaces. Okay, so if you can see, I'll zoom in here for you. But these little snowflakes, they're not wood. They look like wood, but they're like that, I don't know, like a pressed cardboard. And then it has the layer, which is a sticker over top that has that wood look to it. But if you can see where I zoom in, there's all kinds of little bubbles popping up. And that's because of that cardboard, that pressed area. So this resin is great in the way that it's going to allow that cardboard to soak up the resin, and eventually it will stop releasing bubbles. Hopefully it'll do so and I can still pop them. All right, so we'll see. It's the first time I'm using these, so it's a test, I guess. Nothing wrong with tests. I like tests. And we'll come back in a little bit and see where we're at. Okay, it's the next day, and voila. Reflection off of the light. The light that always wants to move into my camera view. The bugger. Anyway, everything is cured. It's got some neat effects there. I did get some bubbles trapped. See one right here. But all in all, I like the effect. Kind of like there's some good bubbles there. But what I'm going to do, so I'm going to need to drill those out to open the bubbles up. And I will be doing my top coat with the Artistry Epoxy. It is heat resistant up to 500 degrees. So I'm happy with that. And whenever you do a coaster, you want to make sure that it's going to be heat resistant, because if you set a coffee mug on there that maybe you microwaved it, or it's a really hot cup of coffee or tea, it could leave marks in the surface of your coaster. So you want a nice hard resin. And I'm going to get that with this one. So let's get these drilled down. I'm going to batch up 2 ounces of the Artistry Epoxy, and I'm going to get those clear coated, and let's get this job finished. All right, first things first, out of the mold. Then we're going to start working on those edges. I use a file to just take that edge down a little bit, and then I used my awl to poke holes down into those bubbles and open them up. I always use my gloved finger to massage some of the resin around on the sides. And once that's done, I'm able to then pour that top coat on there, make sure it's spread evenly across the top. Always check your surface for any kind of dust that might settle in. It's nothing worse than to see those at the end. I'm using that toothpick also to work that resin down into those holes that I popped. And one more pop of the bubbles at the end there. There we go. Well, good morning, everyone. Time to take the lid off. Let's see. Let's go right for the glaze there. Oh. Shine is there. looking good. All right, so now to clean up the backs. You can see I've got some drips, but my latex is there to protect it. So let's get it cleaned up. And we'll get some pictures of these beauties. The latex comes off really easy, and make sure to work on it the next day for the drips. Well, I think my little snowflake coaster project came out fantastic. The Let's Resin Epoxy Resin worked wonderfully for releasing the bubbles. I got them out easily. Had a little bit of a detail issue with them popping up around the snowflakes, but worked through that part for you as well. And of course the black diamonds, the sapphire ghost blue looks so nice. I'm proud with the hard finish I got from the Artistry Epoxy. Why don't you give this project a try? And we'll see you here next time on Moonkusser Art.